This was not what I was planning. This meaning this episode of Seared podcast. Stories from the Stove. Welcome. My name is Paul Silva. I had something else planned, ready to go, ready to rock, and I just got pulled into doing this. I have no notes, no script, no blueprint. There's not. It's just you and me. It's just you and me right here. And don't worry, it's not going to be long and meandering, because if there was any long and meandering, I would have edited it out. So you're safe. You're in good hands. But I was just moved, nudged to share this week. And next week, we'll go back to our regularly scheduled program. So what is it about this week that is so different, so special? Well, let me just start with this. A few years ago, I worked with a woman, older than me, lovely woman, lovely. And she worked in production in the pastry department, which was fine. You know, the thing about production is that you're not time bound like you are on the line during a service, where it's like, give me this, I need this, put this up, you don't have that. You do have a list and things need to get done, and you can be busy, you can be pushed for sure, but you're not having to do service. You don't have to put plates up, you don't have to do anything like that. And so that worked for her. And for some reason, due to some union stuff, they had to move the cooks around, and unfortunately she got put on the line. And we all knew this was not a good idea. And in the end, it was not a good idea. She did not thrive at all. And in fact, she ended up most shifts crying, like really upset, really, people would say that there was a skill issue or, other things like that. And those were valid, but what came up for me at the time, and for some reason I was thinking about this, it came to me today, it wasn't so much her lack of skill or ability to do all that. Yes, there was some of that. But it was the overwhelm. It was the sensitivity that she had. She was a very sensitive soul. And in fact, this whole industry probably was not the best choice, was not most suitable for someone like her. But that's what she chose. And but she was very sensitive and picked up on energy, and I got the sense she got overwhelmed very easily. And I share this because this week, probably a week and a half, maybe close to 2 weeks, I have been absolutely drained. Absolutely drained. And it's not because I'm, riding my bike 60 kilometers a day or running a marathon or, every week or anything like that. It's something that maybe you have experienced in certain situations at certain times, and maybe now with so many things happening in the world, it's an energy drain. It's an energy deficiency. And I know for myself, there were many factors where my sensitivity, I am a very sensitive person. And I remember when I was gazillion years ago, when I was going to many therapists, I remember one therapist saying, Paul, you're very sensitive. And I got very mad. I got really defensive because guys aren't sensitive. What are you telling me I'm sensitive? And especially in the industry that I was in with chefing, you're not sensitive. It's very machismo. It's very macho. You wear your struggles like badges of honor. How many hours did you work this week? Oh, 80? Oh, that's it? How's your other part-time job going? You got this many cuts and burns? Psh, that's nothing. What, you got an easy bake oven? Look at this. Any lack of sleep, how hard you got ridden during service, all this stuff. Like there was nothing about health and wellness. It was about how hard could you go? And there wasn't room for sensitivity. And so I got very defensive with this therapist. And because I saw sensitivity as just pure weakness. Weak. You're weak. And there's no room for weakness. on the line. There's no room for weakness at all. And it took me a long time to see that sensitivity can be a superpower. And especially as I got older and, getting into doing more work on myself and getting into coaching and stuff, you see that sensitivity, empathy, they often go hand in hand, not always, but often. It's a superpower. It's a way to see past what we see. And the issue that comes with it is protecting that. See, you can be sensitive and very empathetic and pick up on people's energy and just be in tune and read the room and read people and suss out situations and just know without really knowing, but you know. And those are wonderful traits. A lot of emotional intelligence comes from that. A lot of compassion comes from that. A lot of connection comes from that. But what also comes with that is overwhelm. Just like that cook. It can be too much. You can take on too much. You can take on things that aren't yours to take on. And then you can slip into a martyrdom type role, and you slip into resentment and why am I feeling everything? Why do I have to do these things? Why am I holding on to things that aren't mine? And that's on us, boo. That's on us. And so this week I was drained. I was taking in all the stuff from other people in other areas, online, in real life, and also all this stuff happening with the hurricane. And knowing, it's funny, there's two places in the States that for some reason, I know a million people. One is New Jersey and one is Asheville, North Carolina. I don't know why. I don't know anyone in Wyoming or, Washington State or New Mexico, but New Jersey and Asheville, tons. And so when all this news came out of this, hurricane and the destruction and all that, it was hard hitting. I have good friends have lost their homes, struggling hard. People I know, their families and friends are just struggling. This is post-apocalyptic kind of stuff, and I was taking that on big time. And a lot of time I wasn't aware of all this. And normally I have a practice of shielding and guarding and protecting and grounding and clearing. And obviously I wasn't doing that enough. And it's like a sponge that just takes on more and more and more and more and more. And you don't wring it out. And you need to wring that out. You need to have your own sense of self. And if you get lost in everyone else, in their pain, in their struggles, and their stripes, you get lost yourself. And it's not always easy to find yourself. It's not always easy to reclaim yourself because you get lost in the sauce. You get lost in all that. And it had me thinking all these years, speaking of lost in the sauce, I think part of the reason that I drank so much back in the day was because I was so sensitive and I wanted to dull that sensitivity. And obviously I don't drink now, but I felt the despair. I felt a certain what am I doing here? What am I doing? And absolutely gutted and drained and of no use to anyone. And that's the thing when you get into, they call this, people would call it compassion fatigue. But what they're finding now is that it's not, compassion is infinite. We are compassionate beings, and that never, we can keep going with that all day. What they're finding is that it's the empathy part that gets fatigued. I think they call empathy distress, empathetic distress. And that's where you can get drained. That's where you can close yourself off. That's where you can start to shut down. That's where you can, for some people, they will reach for substances or behaviors to step away from that pain. When you're in a healthy empathetic response, you can step into, there's like the cognitive, emotional, and physical part of empathy, and it's the physical part. That's like compassion is empathy plus action. So if you have a healthy empathy, you can move into action. And sometimes that's just sitting with someone. Sometimes that's just like sitting beside them as they go through their, in their feelings, and really connecting with them at that level. And then when you take action, or continued action could be, how can I be of service? How can I help? And that you can do all day. That actually gets a lot of people out of funks. And, if you're ever in a kind of a foul mood, one of the best things you can do is just be of service to somebody. And it's not easy, because you just want to be in a funk, right? Like, rah, 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 rah. I'm not doing anything. But you'll find that even if you make someone a cup of tea, smile, open up a door for someone, help someone with a bag, it gets you out of that funk. So compassion is infinite. It's our empathy that can tire, and that's because we have not filled our own buckets. That's because we have not taken rest. We have not gotten perspective on what's going on. And so we don't tend to ourselves. And we feel like, as someone said, you can't bleed for the world. You can't take everything that's not yours and take it on. You can't solve everyone's problems. And you can't even always be there for everyone. And it may come across as selfish, but we have a capacity. And it's so easy to go past that, especially if you're on social media and you are connecting with so many people. And, there's times where, and this past week, I went off of most social as well, because I really needed to kind of move inward and just take care of myself. Because I was getting to a point where I was tired of hearing about everyone's shit. I was tired of it. All their mental health issues, all their financial issues, all their relationship issues, I was like, oh my God, can you guys sort yourselves out? But no one was asking me to take it on. I was just doing it. And, my thing is like to be helpful and respond and, try to help as many and please everyone and blah, blah, blah. And it's to my detriment. And I felt bad pulling back, and people that I normally would respond to, I just don't respond to, because my energy is just bleeding all over the place. And it's not fun, and it doesn't feel good. And I share all this because many folks, especially with what's happening in the world, global events, more kind of local events like these floods and the hurricane and the damage, it's so easy to get caught up in all of it. It's so easy to get absolutely drained and just emotionally absorbing everything. And it's not healthy. It doesn't do them any good. You can acknowledge things. You can absolutely acknowledge things and then move on. You can do an action. You can donate. You can, crowdfund something. You can, I don't know, whatever it is that situation calls for, you can do something, but you have your own life to live. There's people that depend on you. You have your family, you have friends, you have community, you have work. And if you're just spent completely because you're trying to heal the world, you're in for a losing battle. And it's just like that woman on the line, like it's just going to end in tears. It's just going to end in overwhelm. It's just going to end up in shutdown. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was just ready to shut down, and I wanted to shut down completely. But I knew that wasn't the answer. I sat on the bench, I was walking, and I heard my guides say, my spirit guides saying, it's easy to stay open, but harder to stay closed. Meaning it is in my nature and most of your nature, all your nature, we're all empathetic beings, to be open, but it's against the nature to shut down completely. It takes more effort to shut down than it is to remain open. But it doesn't mean be open like people walk all over you. And so the image I saw and I share with you is like a screen door. You open up your door, your window, but you don't want to let everything in. You don't want to let all the little bugs and whatever it is. So you put a screen there. And so you can get the breeze, you can hear the birds, you can smell the flowers coming, all coming in, but it's holding back a lot of things that aren't for your highest good. And so my role this week has been to put the filter on and also to tend to myself. And so for me, that's been going out in nature a lot, taking pictures, taking videos, biking, going to the gym, sitting, reading, napping, pulling myself off social. And so if you're in a position, like I said, especially with what's going on now, and you're feeling drained, and you're feeling helpless and hopeless, taking on more is not going to help you. What's going to help is taking care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with being a beautiful, sensitive soul. But we've got to guard it. It's like a little gem. It's a little gift that we have to tend to and hold and treasure. We can't just throw it around, because there are people who will step on it. There are people who, because of their wounds and challenges, they've learned to just take, and they'll take what they can, and then they'll move on. And that's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for you. So this is a gift. What you have, this sensitivity, this empathy, is a gift. So cherish it. Use it. But don't let it be abused. Don't allow it to be abused. Don't allow it to get spent and burnt, because that's what happens when we do that. We get spent and we feel burnt out, and we have nothing left for ourselves or for anyone else. So that's what I wanted to share. Obviously my heart goes out to anyone suffering in any way. It doesn't have to be a natural disaster. It doesn't have to be a conflict or whatever. But I can only do so much. I can tend to so many things at once. I can only have so many plates spinning. And so tend to yourself, my friend. There's a lot out there there's a lot of people doing a lot of good. And sometimes the best good we can do is helping others in our immediate vicinity, in our immediate circles of influence. How we show up for ourselves, how we show up to Creator, to, whoever, whatever. So take care of yourself, my friend. And that's all I want to share with you. I told you to be quick. Boom. Done. If this helped you in any way, please share, like, comment, etc. You can also check out, speaking of nature videos, and, I'm doing these little films on You Are Gumbo. I'd love for you to check them out. Kind of like motivational, inspirational kind of things, really stuff that really speaks to my heart. And, if there's anything that you want to share it in the comments, or you can drop me a line. Wishing you well. Kitchen's closed. Now scram.